and attempts to overturn the 2020 election. So ABC News investigative reporter and producer Olivia Rubin has been tracking all of this now from the courthouse there in Miami. Do we also have Neama with us here this morning? Okay. We have Neama with us as well. She's a former federal prosecutor and president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers. So thank you both so much for joining us. Obviously, everyone has been watching this very closely. Olivia, let's start with you. You're inside court. Can you tell us how it played out as you're watching De Oliveira and the judge?
Well, Kana, another hearing that was supposed to be quick and procedural today to get underway, but again, not really occurring that way. As you just noted, De Oliveira did appear in court today. He did make his first appearance just a few hours ago, but again, not entering a plea today. Why? Because he didn't have the appropriate local counsel to enter in his plea. Now, that may sound familiar because we have been here before with Trump's other aide charged in the case, Walt Nauta. He had a number of issues getting local counsel, and we were back with him multiple times here as he was attempted to be arraigned in this case. I would note that the judge in the case not having much of an issue with the bit of the delay today, but De Oliveira will have to be back in court again so that he can enter that plea. He's set to come back on August 10th, but as you noted, really the most notable development today are those comments from De Oliveira's attorney after court, really sort of challenging the special counsel here. It's the first we've heard from him or his team saying, like you said, put your money where your mouth is, and that they're excited to see the discovery here. So really sort of a challenge to the special counsel to say, what is your evidence and what do we have here as we move forward? So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, Kana.
All right, thank you so much. And Neama, to you, what do you make of this new defendant? What do you think that the special counsel is trying to do here? I mean, clearly they're trying to build their case. They're adding more and more characters to it, if you will.
Well, Kana, the special counsel wants to lean on another person in Trump's inner circle, try to flip him. And the best way to do so is to charge him in an indictment, because it's very easy to say, hey, I'm not going to cooperate. I'm going to stay loyal to my boss. But when you're looking at years in federal prison, that's a very different consideration. And I can tell you, I put more than 1,000 people in federal prison. And when I pushed cases to trial, I can count on one hand the number of people who didn't cooperate. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on De Oliveira and Nauta when push comes to shove to testify against Donald Trump and to say that he was the one who asked us to destroy evidence, because we all know innocent people don't do that.
Right, of course. And Olivia, too, you've reported that a super PAC supporting Trump spent more than $40 million in legal costs in the first half of 2023. And this is all to defend the former president and now his inner circle. We're also learning that he's launching a legal defense fund to also help with the cost of all of these legal bills. I mean, the dollar amount clearly adding up here.
Kana, it's really no surprise that they're having to come up with these new innovative ways to take on what really is, quite frankly, just a crushing amount of legal bills. Like you said, $40 million. That is a staggering amount just in the first half of the year alone. And we're not even all the way through yet. We know, or we expect, that there will be multiple other indictments coming down. That adds to the legal bills. And then simply the number of individuals that have been ensnared in this probe outside of just the former president keeps on going. We know that there are more subpoenas that have been going out. There are still active investigations ongoing. So if anywhere, all we're going is up. So it's not exactly clear exactly what sort of the nuances of the fund will be. Who will pay for, Trump's own bills versus who will pay for his allies? Will it be the new legal defense fund? Will it be the PAC? But clearly looking for ways to try to take on this massive amount of bills that they're facing as they move forward here.
Ensnared, I think, is the right term there. Thank you so much. And senior reporter Catherine Falders is in D.C. now. So, Catherine, you're joining us as well. A Trump spokesperson says the surveillance video wasn't deleted, that the files were turned over, and that if the former president really wanted to delete this footage, he could have easily just done it. How significant is that?
Yeah, that's what Trump's legal spokesperson is saying, but that's really not the point here, not the point that prosecutors are making in the indictment. It's not whether or not the footage was or wasn't deleted, which we believe that it wasn't deleted in the first place. It's the efforts to obstruct the investigation and the efforts to attempt to try and get that footage deleted. Now, of course, prosecutors are alleging that Trump, his co-defendant Walt Nauta, and the new defendant here, Rivera, was allegedly involved in this conspiracy to delete this. We know that they will plead not guilty in some way. But again, that is not the point that Jack Smith's team is making here. It's not whether the video was deleted or not whether somebody could have done it easily or not. It was the attempts that led to this alleged obstruction.
Interesting. And meanwhile, Catherine, Trump's bracing for a possible new federal indictment, as we've talked about, over his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Of course, January 6th as well. This could be coming any day. Do you have an update on any of that?
Yeah, we've been bracing for quite some time. It's been a little over 2 weeks since Jack Smith sent that target letter to the former president, notifying him he was the target of the January 6th investigation. Here outside this courthouse, D.C. District Court in Washington, the grand jury typically sits on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They only met one day last week, but again, they have to meet, vote, and hand up this indictment. And so they're bracing. Trump's legal team, everybody here at this courthouse is bracing for that to happen any day now.
Make one up. Interesting. And Neama, to you, I have a question for you. If you could highlight something for me. It does say that this exchange that we're talking about between De Oliveira and former President Donald Trump occurred after a subpoena for security footage had already been sent to Trump's attorney. That's what the indictment alleges. That word after, I think, a real sticking point. How significant is that?
Oh, very. And that's why it's the basis for both the obstruction charges and the charges with attempting or conspiring to delete grand jury evidence. And not only that, De Oliveira met with the FBI and denied moving the boxes. So, the fact that, all this happened after the voluntary request, after the grand jury subpoena, and it required a search warrant, unprecedented for FBI agents to raid Mar-a-Lago. That's the basis for the obstruction charges. And this is one of those cases where really the cover-up is worse than the crime, both in terms of the maximum potential sentence and the advisory sentence that will be imposed, likely if Trump is indeed convicted at a jury trial.
Right. Of course, the indictment says that he loaded several of Trump's boxes along with other items onto an aircraft that flew Trump and his family north for this summer. Olivia, Catherine, and Neama, our thanks to all of you for your expertise. We greatly appreciate it.